Good evening. Welcome. It is February 19th, 2024. Thank you for joining this evening and being part of this platform. We are able to be seen on Facebook and Indeed and YouTube and Twitter. So thank you for tuning in on those platforms this evening. I wanted to go ahead and share something with you tonight before we have hopefully a guest that will join us. But you're all welcome to dial in as well. The call and information will be up here in a minute. Wanted to recognize some of our people who are saying hello this evening, Cheryl and Abina, as well as Andrea. So thank you for tuning in and offering positive comments. So here below my, it says the Attaining Your Personal Best with Dr. Nat. To call in, there is the StreamYard information. You would type that into your web browser, and that would lead you to our waiting area. And I'll be more than glad to have you join in. So those of you that may be interested in calling in and having a conversation of sorts, you're more than welcome to do so. But this evening, before we get started with that, I wanted to present something that I think is important to share with you. And it's called a mantra. And what a mantra is just a statement that helps you to maintain a focus, and especially a focus at a time where there may be some challenges in your life. And so what the mantra is supposed to do is to speak potential, not assign any blame, to speak possibilities and not assign any shame, and to speak positive, and that there's no disdain of a person, place, thing, or circumstance. So an example of a mantra wouldn't be that I, want to live any place but blankety blank, because that's showing a disdain for a particular place. So a mantra could be that one of the things we talked about recently as it relates to a mantra is just a reminder that all things that are happening have been often authorized and have been approved, good, bad, or indifferent. And so a mantra could be, is just a reminder, this too has been authorized. Often when things that happen that are positive, we don't question them. And we definitely believe that they were authorized. But sometimes when things are challenging, we don't want to accept that too has been a circumstance that is permitted to happen because it's part of what we call this thing called life. So it's a statement that inspires you to wake up, to get up, and to stay up. And those things are totally different things. Waking up is one thing, getting up is another, and then staying up is another. And at each one of those commas, we could fall off. We could fall off at the waking up part, we could fall off at the getting up part, or we could fall off at the stay up part. But our job is to bring the ands together and understand that in order to be successful, we have to not do one thing, we have to do a multitude of things. And again, in this case, is we have to wake up, get up, and stay up. And and what's important for us to remember is we have to do that no matter the day, no matter the weather, or what's happening. That we have to find a way to maintain that course and that vision against all odds. And lots of times the things that we are challenged with are not going to be deemed to be always fair and not always going to be deemed to be easily managed. But it is what we have to do. And it's important that we set up a fellowship with other people who can help us do that, especially at times when it may be difficult for us to do it. that we lean on our 5 closest friends to help us to navigate that circumstance. But I believe very firmly that if it's not written, it shall not happen. And that's why it's very important for us to think now before, especially those challenging moments happen. What is the statement that is going to allow me to reclaim my enthusiasm, my focus, my drive? And we need to start writing those things at this particular point. So we have it, and we can post it, and we can look at it, because challenging times are on their way. If they're not already there for a fair amount of us already. So we need to recognize that we got to be prepared for it. We got to plan for it, but be prepared for it. We have to rehearse it. And we have to just build the infrastructure so that we can manage the circumstance that is surely to arrive, or that is here now, and we need to figure out a way out of it. So again, I would strongly encourage you to think about that, to play with it. Often the first thing you come up with as a potential mantra doesn't pass the test of no blame, no shame, no disdain. So often you have to reword it. And sometimes being in fellowship with other people to help you to do that will go a long way to being able to do it. But it's really a critical thing for us to be able to do. And again, having it in place so we're ready to go, and we don't have to plan for it any deeper than what we've already written out. Again, will go a long way to making sure that we have what it takes. So I see my buddy Mr. Booker has offered a comment of good evening. So I'm going to encourage Mr. Booker to call in if he's able to do so. That would be a neat addition to our time together today. So anyone else that would like to call in, I would encourage you to do so, so that we have a chance to talk a little bit about what I've shared with you at this particular point. So one of the other things I'd like to go back to share with you, so just give me a minute to pull it back up. Is what we title here the Life Know 6 Elements of Success that correspond with the who, the what, the where, the when, the how, and the why. Who really requires us, if we're going to be successful, to recognize and to possess the belief that I got this. And in order to have it, often we have to know and have the ability to cut it out. And I think often that's a challenge for a lot of us, that we want ourselves to be successful, but we tend to do things that allow things that are challenging to continue to go on a little bit longer. Secondly, that we have to have a sense of humor and a possession of humility. And those are 2 different things. And I think often they get seen as similar, but they're different. The sense of humor is really learning to take things with a sense of lightness, and not believing in a sense of severity, and a possession of humility, recognizing I'm no better or no worse than another person. And often in order to be successful, we need to be in touch with that. And also success has a lot often to do with geography. Not every person, not every place, not everything can afford for you to be successful. So how you position yourself is extremely important, because if you don't position yourself with the right people, the right place, and doing the right things, success will be something that escapes you. So geography is really very important. And also what's important is that we have to have a plan. We got to develop it. And that's one thing. And that's often a challenge in and of itself. But then once we develop it, we have to figure out a way to sustain that plan. And that often is a tremendous amount of work as well. Another area that I've seen people who are successful be able to do is to tolerate strong interactions and exchanges. A lot of us, whether we realize it or not, are conflict avoidant, and we don't have the ability to tolerate when someone agrees or disagrees with us, and learning how to be able to tolerate that, learning how to be able to navigate that is critically important if we're going to be successful. And then last but not least, is understanding why people are often successful is because they've discovered who they want to be as an intentional, genuine, and authentic person. And then I think often people believe that success is something that just comes out of nowhere. Often people have been plugging away and plying away for a long, long period of time in order to make it work. It is not something that has happened overnight. It is something that has required a tremendous, tremendous amount of work, and a tremendous amount of intentionality. And at the same time, being genuine and authentic, knowing I had a professor years ago, Professor Manning at Lincoln University, and she often used the phrase, know who you be, and be who you know. And I've always taken that to heart. And I think it's almost been 20 years that Professor Manning shared that with me when I was going to Lincoln's Master in Human Services program. But it left an indelible mark, and I've repeated it thousands of times ever since, because I think it's so critical of a statement to understand that it's important that we know who we are and that we be that person, because often life can get us to behave and think in ways that really are not who we are. But being clear about what you're trying to accomplish and being genuine and authentic and intentional requires that effort for us to maintain. And again, developing a plan is one thing, but figuring out a way to sustain it goes a long way. So I hope that again, as we talked about the mantra, I hope that that's something that you can take away and use as something to guide you is critically important. And then also just recognizing there's a lot of work that goes into being successful, and we have to answer the question is, who. We have to be comfortable to say, yeah, the who is me. And what do I got to do is I got to maintain a sense of humor and humility. And wherever the geography that life takes me, I'm going to do it. That's where my success is going to be. It's going to be where I am. Often people put off where their success is going to be and make it some other place. But we need to make it where we are right now. And when you're going to be successful is when you're able to develop and sustain a plan. And how are you going to do that? Is because you're going to be able to tolerate strong interactions and exchanges and not be avoidant of those things, but learn how to manage them and navigate them. And again, why you're going to be successful is because you're going to demonstrate and present the true person that you are and the intentional person that you are. It's a lot of work. And I wish I could share with you that it's easy, but it's not. And that's why it's so important that fellowship and surrounding yourself with other people who are on that same crusade. And sometimes it starts with the first one. You find that first person that you're connected with and is working in that direction. And then you find another one, and then you find another one, and you find another one. And then now you've established a community of people who are trying to accomplish things for themselves. And I think often what we try to do is find people that are trying to do the same thing that we're doing. And I would encourage you, just so that your network can be more expansive is that you look for anyone that's trying to make anything happen. So they may be an interior designer, they may be an artist, they may be someone doing something totally different than you, but they're making things happen, and that's what you need to be looking for. And that's often why we struggle with diversity, is because we're very accustomed to finding similarities among people, and staying within that group. But it's the diversity that is going to allow us to expand and to learn about the stuff that we don't know, and to see the places that we haven't seen, and to do the things we've never done before. But often, if we just stack on top of everybody that is doing exactly what we're doing, our experience is going to be narrow. So as you span your net to try to find people who are making things happen, that I would strongly encourage you to just look for anyone that in their line of work, they're making things happen. And don't look at it from the narrow sense that it's just you want someone who is doing exactly the same thing you're doing, because again, that may not be the best situation for you. So just keep those things in mind as you proceed forth, and understand that differences are okay. And again, part of our ability to navigate life will require us to be able to tolerate that, and invite that, and accept that, and encourage that. So I do see we have someone that has joined. It's Andrea, and no, she just disappeared. So maybe she hasn't joined. But there were some comments that I'll share while we try to get someone to join us back. And early childhood educators on the move said hello, everyone. And they said, Gladys sends love to you all. Andrea said, hi, Gladys. Nice to see you here. And Andrea said, love you, Jonesy. So we have a little love fest of people going on here. So thank you for sharing your comments. And Cheryl said earlier, getting up and staying up is important. So again, thank you all for sharing your comments this evening. So again, we're going to open up the lines here, and we have Andrea Royal, who has joined us, and she's claiming to be the president and CEO of something or another. I don't think that's really a true designation, but let's just play along with whatever she wants to call herself, and just agree to that. So without further ado, I give you Miss Andrea Royal. The president and CEO of AAPI Services. That is a provider agency in Staten Island, providing training and day hab services for individuals with intellectual disabilities, and she's done that for quite a number of years. So, Andrea, what is it that you would like to talk about?
Good evening, everyone. It's so nice to be a part of this wonderful layout that you have, Attaining Your Personal Best. So I was calling in regarding the statement that you had made earlier about a mantra. So my mantra is, which Dr. Williams and I had discussed at one of the workshops that he had conducted, is it was authorized. Mm-hmm. I believe that's how it, how we word it, it's authorized. And so what that actually means is we were having a conversation about what would be the most devastating thing that I could face in this lifetime. And I said the death of a child. And I wouldn't know how to get through it. And I wouldn't know exactly how to stay grounded and keep my faith in God at that point. Sometimes you would lose faith for something like that. And so one of the things that, we came up with when we discussed it is that it was authorized. And so I think about that a lot, like if something like that would happen, or even just in my daily things that I go through with people, or people that I know who are suffering with health issues, I say it's authorized, and it actually helps me put things in perspective.
Good. And And again, I think, as I said earlier, when I was introducing the mantra, I did use your mantra, and just a reminder to use it. It has been authorized as a mantra, can be used for positive things and those things that are challenging as well. And I think
Hmm.
when it's positive, we don't question it. We're like, oh, that's the way it's supposed to be. But again, that was authorized. Uh,
Right.
Andre and I went to the casino the other night. Normally, when I go to the casino, I win some money, but we, this is like the first time just her and I went, and I lost several $100s. So, but when I won previously, that was authorized, and this
Right.
time it wasn't authorized. So, and I'm also not authorized to take her to the casino anymore because she's not.
You are very much authorized to do that.
Um, Apparently, she's not good luck, and I normally don't go on a Saturday night, but that place was jam packed, and
Yes.
if you stood over a person too long, they were giving you the dirty eye, and yeah, so I don't know if I want to go back on a Saturday night. But it
Yeah,
was
you
good.
didn't have good luck that night, but I guess it was authorized. So God didn't want us to win that night.
So
And then we couldn't find the car, so that didn't help.
that was terrible, and I had my little black spring jacket on. And it was freezing. So we're walking around 3-4 levels of a parking garage trying to find a car. Then, as a good man, after it got too cold, I said, "I'm going to stand in the lobby, Andrea. You go find the car. I know you can do it. It's your car anyway." After,
Exactly. I
after
could have got mugged out there trying to find my car. You would have never known because you didn't want to come outside because you had that little jacket on.
remember, it was authorized. If that's what
Okay, that's what God wanted.
exactly.
Hopefully, he send some nice big guys to do the mugging or something.
Yeah. But we did find the car, and we did get out of there and marry safely. So.
Yes.
But again, I think, Andre, I think you bring up a really, really good point, just to remind ourselves that, it's the good stuff and the challenging stuff. And I
Hmm.
think also there's some things we can do to help the circumstance out. I was yelling at Andre because I was like, I don't think the battery in your remote for your car is working, because we kept trying to beep the horn and there was no horn beeping. She's like, oh, my battery
Yes.
is good. I'm like, I think after walking 3 floors of cars, something should have gone off. But
Yeah.
we have to
You
help
were
ourselves.
correct.
Exactly. Imagine that. Imagine that.
Yeah. So I went actually to have lunch today, and my battery wouldn't start the car, so I had to sit there for 20 minutes until the signal started. But I didn't want to tell you that, so I'm just letting you know. Tomorrow I will be purchasing a battery. So thank you for that, Dr. Williams, for recognizing that.
I do authorize your. So
For me to get a battery.
exactly. And the funny thing is, you gave me another battery to your fan. That I said, oh, I'll take that and I'll get it fixed. That's still in my briefcase 4 months
I
later.
know.
So maybe tomorrow we'll both get batteries and exchange.
Yeah, I would like to see that on Friday.
But Andre, one of the other things that we've had a chance to do over time is to do some workshops together.
Yes.
And why don't you talk to people about what you feel about those workshops, and the good, the bad, the in between there, about your experience with coming together with people as they try to do some life planning.
I really I found the workshops to be very helpful. A lot of people have provided feedback. But being there and watching people talk about some of the trauma that they've dealt with, whether it was childhood trauma or whether it was just things that they were dealing now in their adult life, it was important for people to share. And I know one of the things we always talk about is no secrets and silence. And just recently, I went to a workshop and I kind of disclosed something to a large group of my childhood trauma. And I know you were taken back a little bit by it, but I felt like, you know what, that was my journey, and I'm in a different place. So I can, not to be proud that something happened to me, but to be proud that I can stand up and actually talk about it to this day and hopefully affect someone else's life to say, you know what, that shouldn't have happened to you, but I can talk about it now so that maybe it doesn't happen to anyone else. Or maybe you just kind of get out your own way. So the workshops are extremely helpful. People were able to kind of, pull the covers off of themselves to, just be their authentic selves, to express the things that they've been subjected to. I think you get a lot out of it. I think people really get a lot out of, the teaching of obtaining your personal best.
And I think also, Andre, you've spoken a lot about trauma and its impact and that early trauma and life for people. So in your
Right.
work, people, what have you seen as the impact of that early trauma on people years and years after the individual circumstance may have happened?
They're still struggling with it. They're still struggling with it in their adult life. I was just telling a good friend of mine tonight, Gladys, who's on, how I see that in a lot of people that I deal with. I see that in a lot of men that I speak to. And they, at 55, they can talk about the pain that they were subjected to like it was yesterday from being a young boy and maybe being subjected to, maybe not having mom around, maybe not knowing who mom is, maybe being abused by mom or dad, or if somebody leaving. And to this day, to still be able to be in pain from that, that people are walking around holding on to something, and it really stops you from growing. If I'm still living in that 12-year-old brain, that why did that happen to me at 53, then there's no way I can grow. There's no way I can go through life.
So what have you learned? We have also Sandra, who is our original guest. It's now 8:29, but I guess she likes to show up like Patti LaBelle, a little late for the concert. But the concert's always still very good. Sandra will join us in a minute. But what do you see as what is your suggestion to a person to deal with the trauma? So they say to you, "Hey, I've had some stuff that has happened in my life. I'm still living it. What do I do with it?"
Honestly, I would tell them to take a session with you. I would tell them, get with Dr. Nat, lay it all out. He's going to help you. He's going to point you in the right direction. You're going to be able to talk about it, and he's going to do a lot. Because even in my own personal life, I went to counseling and I did it for years, but I would have saved so much more money if I would have just called you up and say, "Hey, let me tell you what I'm dealing with." So yeah, I would tell them to get with you. And if they can't, talk to somebody and realize it's not your fault. Our parents did a lot that wasn't the best, but they handled us with the tools that they had. And so now, they should have more tools in their toolbox, but, time is up. And so hopefully we could be better parents moving forward. Wow. Or better grandparents. So
sure. So Miss Sandra Burgess, how are you?
Hello, Dr. Nate. I'm so sorry. I've been having such technical difficulties. It's been like unbelievable.
Wow. Do me a favor. Just center yourself in the camera because I'm seeing half of
you. That's what I've been trying to do. I'm trying to figure out.
There you go.
I'm not that
right up. You were just good.
A little bit more.
To the other way.
Right there.
Right there. Don't move.
Here I am.
Don't
I'm
move.
so sorry for my tardiness.
You're here. That's all that counts.
Thank you so very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Sure. We had a chance to meet a couple of weeks ago at one of those workshops that Andre was talking about. So why don't you just talk a little bit about post the workshop a couple of weeks? Where are you at? What's going on? What were your afterthoughts about the workshop? Good, bad, or indifferent? But just check in.
I found it very, very enlightening and educational because for a lot of years I felt less than because my dad didn't want me. My mom said to me she should have tossed me down the toilet when she had the opportunity. So I always felt like I wasn't loved. So because I felt that way, I searched out love in all the wrong people and all the wrong friends. And a lot of the times, these people didn't mean me any good, but they meant me for harm. So because I felt that emptiness, I felt like maybe it's really me. Let me see if it's me or not. And then after speaking to you, said, look, you cannot be responsible for what other people feel or what other people think towards you. So that helped me let go of all of that hurt that I was feeling for all of these years. I'm 60 years old, so I had a lot of hurt that was piled onto me that I didn't know what to do with. So I thank you for giving me a venue, an avenue where I could release it.
That's good. So what's on the horizon for you, Sandra, as you look at the future? What are you looking to?
Well, I'm definitely going to be going back to school, like I was telling you, to get my sociology degree. I'm definitely going to do that. I'm not going to put it behind any longer. I'm definitely going to do that. I would like to travel back to my homeland to see my brother because he hasn't been feeling that great lately. So I would like to see him.
1 second. You're coming off screen a little bit. So go.
Go back this way.
You're good.
Okay. I'm sorry.
That's okay. When you
Here
say
I am.
So that's okay.
Yeah. So
When you say homeland, where is that?
Barbados.
Okay.
Barbados.
Yes. 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 I would like to go see him. I haven't seen him in over. The last time I saw him, he was burying our parents.
Okay.
So I haven't seen him like since 2015.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it's time for me to go home and see him because I'm recovering from cancer. Tomorrow's not promised. And the last 2 weeks I've been having the same exact symptoms again. So I have to go through a whole batch of tests again. So I says, look, if this is what it is, then I need to see my family before whatever happens.
Sure. But maintain a positive attitude. It just may
Yes.
be something you have to just check in and you're still going to be okay. But again, you've been down this road a couple of times. So
that's right.
That's
right. So I'm hanging strong. I'm not going to give up. I'm still going to continue thinking positive. And I every once in a while I'll go through because I write down everything. So I write down all the stuff he told me. So every once in a while I listen to it. I say, God give his toughest battles to his warriors. And that's what you said to me that Saturday. Right. And it rings true. I keep hearing it in my ears. So I'm not going to give up.
Just hold on a second. We want to do a commercial. Show us your fingernails there because I keep seeing them being flashed. Oh my loving God! Wow! Wow!
The little things that keep you happy.
Exactly. Wow! Good. Yeah. Good for you. Is there anything else, Ms. Sandra, as we're getting ready to wrap up, that you want to talk about or have a question?
What I would say is that stay focused, man. Dr. Nate has great advice. Anytime you're not sure, or you need someone to really talk to or to just ask a couple of questions, call up Dr. Nate because like I said, I'm 60 years old. I've been holding a lot of things that I didn't find answers to until I went to his workshop. And then I added one and one and it came and said, oh yeah, he's absolutely correct. So let go of whatever you're holding on to and, be the best you can be. Follow his steps, follow his guidelines, and there's no way you can fail.
Oh, wow. Talk about a commercial. That was pretty good. So thank you, Ms. Burgess. I really appreciate that.
Thank you so very much for having me.
A pleasure. And thank you, Ms. Andrea, for being here as well.
I have to leave now?
Yeah, you're done. It's over.
There's not a part two?
No, we found, and one of the things I've challenged Andrea to do is to do our own podcast. So hopefully you'll be seeing that and we'll do commercial for people. But why don't you talk a little about what you're thinking about accomplishing with that podcast, Andrea?
Okay, so it's myself. It's also Selena, which is an employee of Dr. Williams. She's the nurse at the agency. And Rahima, who's another professional at the agency. And so we're thinking about doing a podcast on relationships. So we are going to talk about relationships. We're going to pose a question every I think it's going to be twice a month. We haven't kind of figured out the dates as of yet and how often we'll run the podcast, but we'll pose a question and then we'll just have people calling in and just giving us feedback on the question. So it could be as simple as how is it, is dating after 60 worth it? And then people will call in and say, yes, it is, or no, it's not, so it'll be, various questions that we'll ask and we'll pose and just kind of get feedback from everyone on, their thoughts. And we'll actually kind of mirror that to obtaining your personal best. So we'll look at some of the 8 domains. We'll look at the universal constructs I went out on a date and, he stood me up. So we'll go to see, is he accountable? Is he a responsible person? What is he showing you? So we're going to definitely attach it to that and try to give people more insight on how to move forward. And it's, because dating is totally different, so, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be a great ride. We're going to, get that going within the next month or so, hopefully sooner. And, I want everybody to join and call in because I'm ready for all the questions because I'm experienced.
Hopefully your calling experience will go a lot better than mine. I have to pay people to call in at this particular point. So.
No, I'm going to come back on next week.
That'd be wonderful. Wonderful.
Yes, exactly. So again, you're welcome. Thank you so much, Dr. Williams. You're definitely a huge inspiration, and I'm so happy to go along this journey with you. I really appreciate you taking me along for the ride.
And I'm happy to have you, for sure.
Okay. Yay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this was a lively show this evening. So thank Andrea and Sandra for joining us and sharing their perspective, and hopefully the information about the 6 elements of success and the mantra and the whole dialogue has been something that's been enriching to you. I look forward to seeing you all back next week at the same time. And we'll have another guest join us. But till then, be well, and thank you for joining.